Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Shit's about to hit the fan. Welcome to Unsanctioned Thursdays on Wrestling with Freddie.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wrestling with Freddie's other show, Unsanctioned. It's the show that you asked for, you created, and you get, and we'll keep it until you hate it. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the announcement John Cena made that he is retiring from professional wrestling. We'll get into some of the history of John Cena. We'll get into some of my personal history with John Cena. And we'll talk about some other shit as well. First things first, I have a movie coming out, you guys, July 26th. It's called The Girl in the Pool. It's like a sexy thriller, independent film that we found distribution for. It's such a hard thing just to get a movie made, let alone completed. But to get distribution is the ultimate and final goal. And it's so hard to do. And we accomplished this with an indie movie. I'm really proud of the work in this. The movie's really cool. It stars me, Monica Potter, this girl, Gabrielle Hoff. I have a friend whose last name's Hoff. Kevin Pollak, who I love, a stand-up comic from She's All That, and Monica, who I did another movie with. I don't remember the name. I'm sorry. But she's awesome. And it comes out July 26th in limited theaters. We got some theaters, but it's also on Paramount Plus and on Showtime. And I think you'll really dig it if you're into like sexy thrillers, who did it, and you know, yo, that chick's hot. And if you're into dudes, you know, I'm old now, but there's a hot dude and his name's Tyler Gray. the youngsters will like him. All right. So let's talk about John Cena. Speaking of Hollywood, John Cena's Mr. Hollywood now. And he announced that he's retiring from WWE, which is always kind of sad, but it gives you an opportunity to reflect on their contribution to whatever art form they were in, whether it's acting or music, all these retirement tours. And now he'll have his wrestling one. And unlike Barbra Streisand, I believe his will be the actual final retirement tour. So let's talk a little bit about history. WWE championships, he's got 13 of them, 13. So not the greatest of all time, but pretty fucking great. World heavyweight champion 3 times. Now that is the championship that Vince didn't have as much respect for as his championship. So that was the less important one to him. So that one doesn't really matter as much. That's why people didn't always give the big gold belt the love, because they were like, well, it's not Vince's belt and he doesn't care. So why should we? Because the dudes who wore it made the belt. The belt didn't make the dudes. A 5-time United States champion, 5-time United States championship, mid-card, but prestigious, just the same. Not the Intercontinental, though. The Intercontinental one is usually reserved for the workhorse. And John Cena, when I was there, was the workhorse. So I don't know why he never won the IC belt. Maybe he just got rocket shipped after he got over and there was no time for the IC title. It was straight to the WWE championship. He was a WWE tag team champion 2 times, once with The Miz and David Otunga. And he was a world tag team championship 2 times, once with Batista and once with Shawn Michaels. I was there for the Batista one, and we'll get into the story behind that because I remember the back got pissed at him. He also had 2 wins in the Royal Rumble, my favorite pay-per-view, now known as a premium live event, 2008, 2013, and he won Money in the Bank. Very dangerous match. I'm surprised they even put him in it. He won that 1 time in 2012. So anyway, the end is near or nigh for John Cena, and he's going to retire at the end of 2025. He will start the new era of WWE on Netflix. So Netflix will get to see John Cena uncensored on a microphone. I don't know if he goes anywhere outside of the words damn. Would he even say goddamn? I wonder what he would try to get away with, or would he just stick to the PG John Cena that got over to all the kids? I wonder what he would do on Netflix. What curse words would he say? Hit us up on our social media. What curse words do you think John's going to say on Netflix? Or am I the only one who gives a shit about that stuff? He said he'd be about a part of 30 dates, including premium live events, starting with the Royal Rumble. He made it a point to say that this WrestleMania in Las Vegas, where my Raiders play, will be his last. Don't make fun of my team. I know they suck. We beat the Chiefs, though. We always beat the Chiefs. We find a way to get their ass. It's just usually the only win we have. He's going to retire the jorts, and the jean shorts were the only mistake that I thought John Cena ever made. I hated the jean shorts. It's always like, man, 1994, everyone stopped wearing them but you. The shorts were brutal. So he's going to leave the company not leave the company, but he's going to leave the ring, the squared circle. And he's one of the best to ever do it. Now, John didn't like me when I was there. I liked John. I didn't think he was the nicest guy, but I shouldn't say liked because we didn't like each other, I guess. But I liked him before I got there. But I always respected him. I knew what he meant to wrestling. I knew what he was there for. That's why his promos were earlier, because that's when kids were watching, because it was the earlier hour of the show. But he took that on. Like, that could have been Triple H. It could have been true. It could have been anybody, but nobody else wanted to be a PG champion. John Cena took that on his shoulders, and he made it work and held the company on his shoulder for years. On one shoulder. He didn't even need both. That's how wide that son of a bitch is. And I mean that as a compliment, son of a bitch. He was the WWE for his era, and was as relevant for his era and who his target was as any other major champion they've had at the top level, from Hogan to Reigns. I'm not saying he was Hogan, but for his generation, that's what he represented. He was eat your vitamins, say your prayers, listen to your parents, he was that. He represented that once he did the Marine movie and kind of found that G.I. Joe type character. He should have been a G.I. Joe, by the way. He would have been sick as Duke. As friggin' Duke. I think it was Channing Tatum that played him. He did a good job, but imagine John Cena as Duke. Come on, son. Come on. Anyway, when I got there, he did not want me there at all. And I remember the first time I met him, I was super polite, put my hand out to shake his hand. He walked right past and didn't even acknowledge me. And I think somebody said something, because a few minutes later he came up and he goes, "Hey, I'm John." And he put his hand out and I shook his hand. I go, "Hey, I'm Freddie. Nice to meet you." And he goes, "Oh, I guess they'll just let anybody work here," or words to that effect. I'm not quoting the man. And I was like, "All right, cool, man." And I basically said, I'll rack that up to he doesn't want Hollywood in the business, and I represent Hollywood. He doesn't know how much I like wrestling. And so as my job there evolved, as one's does, I started running what was called promo class, which is basically an acting class for professional wrestlers. I thought I could do a better job teaching acting than Vince could, because of the way I could deliver information versus the way he would deliver information. He would use terminology that they just didn't understand. I legit saw him say, "You got to give me some razzle dazzle with your promos." And people were looking at each other like, "Yo, what the hell does razzle dazzle mean?" Like, they didn't even know. So I approached Vince and said, "Hey, this is what I do. Let me take this class over, and I'll only communicate with you. That'll make the wrestlers feel safe-ish. I won't even tell them that I report to you. And I'll let you know who I think is doing a good job and who's struggling and needs more help." And he says, yes. And that becomes an addition to my job without additional salary, just in addition to. So now I'm running this promo class. And at first, it's all young wrestlers that go in there, all the youngsters. This is when Miz was young. And you old ass, deal with that. All of them were youngsters then. All the people that are veterans now, they're all in there. And we're doing this class, and it grows from 3 people to, or not 3. The first one was probably 9 people. And then it grows to 20 plus. And right when we were around 15, 16, I remember it was Bray Wyatt and it was Mr. Perfect's kid, but they were doing a scene from Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. I let them pick scenes from movies, and I would print up the scripts for them, and we would break down the scenes the same way you would in acting class. And they're both in there doing their thing. No, I don't remember who played which part, but you can speculate all you want. All of a sudden the door just swings open, no knock, nothing. And Cena walks in, grabs a folding chair, puts it in between Bray, and just sits there and is staring straight at me. What are you going to do about this? And I'm looking at this guy who's 280 pounds. And he doesn't look pissed. He just looks like he's got a smirk on his face, do something. And so I'm not going to fight a 280 pound dude. I'm not going to fight John Cena. So I just go, "Hey man, you want to talk with me outside real quick?" And we go outside, and I go, "What the hell is that, man? What are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, maybe these are his words. This is a quote. Well, maybe I'm a Neanderthal, but you can either do this or you can't. So I don't see what the hell you're doing. I don't know. This part's not a quote. So I don't know what the hell you're doing here or what the F you're doing here," something like that. And I go, "I completely agree with you 100%. And that's why you don't need my help, because you can do it. But for the ones that you don't have time to help, or the ones that you choose not to help, I'm here. And they're coming to me. I'm not asking them to come. They're coming to me asking for help, and I'm doing my job. So do you want to let me do my job, or do you want to continue to do shit like this? And he goes, oh, whatever, man. He just kind of like walks off. I go, all right. Maybe he's just giving me a hard time. I go back in, and all the young wrestlers give me an ovation. They start clapping. They're like, dude, we thought you were going to fight. I'm like, shut up. You're not going to get this shit kicked out of me by some fucking guy who has 2 anvils for hands. So everyone has a good laugh. The promo class became what it was, which became a really good thing there. And they've continued that tradition even after I left over at NXT and within WWE as well. So kudos to all those wrestlers for keeping that up even after I left, and still wanting to improve and work with each other and find new and different ways to get their shit over and to get their ideas over. We worked really hard at that. They continued that discipline even after I was long gone, and continue that shit to this day. So anyway, about 6 months ago, and I had a wrestler cutting a promo in the ring. I don't remember who it was. This is a long time ago, you guys. They're just killing it. They're doing a great job, and they beat the what chant. When they started, they were working very moment to moment, like tonight on the, tonight's the night. What? Where I'm going to settle this score. What? This is not what I wrote. I'm just giving you guys an example. And I'm sitting there like, come on, man, just stop the pauses. You don't need the pauses. You know this shit. We worked on it. And all of a sudden he just gets in a flow and starts doing his thing, and the whole crowd gets behind, and they're all yelling. And Cena was up next, and he was in the gorilla position. I was sitting next to Vince with the headset on, talking to the director's truck to let them know when certain parts of the promo that I wanted close-ups and things like that. Even though they didn't always listen, they would just kind of do their own thing because they had their way. But I would still try to encourage them, like, hey, he's about to start screaming, so get in nice and close, little things like that. And Vince liked it when I gave the truck shit, which I didn't know. So anyway, Cena goes, he did a really good job. And I had a choice in this moment to choose violence or to choose, not violence, but you know what I mean, to be a dick or to be cool. And I would just went, yeah, thanks, man, whatever. And just kind of gave him the same sort of energy that he gave me. But I didn't want to be like super appreciative that he was finally being cool, because I didn't think he deserved that in the moment. Again, this is like 2009. I was younger. I'm 48 now. I wouldn't care. But that was like my one like moment where I could be like, all right, well, at least you acknowledged it. So anyway, that was kind of my history with him. And that's why, and I always said, Vince even talked to me as like after the first time that John, or the only time that John interrupted the class, he goes, so I heard you had a little problem in promo class today. Ha ha ha. And I was like, nah, man, it was fine. He's like, well, he's not going to mess with you anymore. Don't worry about it. And I was like, all right, whatever. I go, it wasn't that bad. But I told him, I was like, he's a good actor. He'd be an actor one day. He's like, no, I'd never do it. And now he's like one of the biggest, or well, not one of the biggest stars, but he's a big star in Hollywood now and doing his thing. I think he has his own production company, and he's acting in all kinds of movies, whether it's a rom-com or an action or a comedy. He's trying to, show his range and do things like that. Hopefully he won't do a Mark Kerr thing like The Rock. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it'll be good, man. We'll see. It's just the wig's throwing me off, man. The wig's really throwing me off. But anyway, you guys, John Cena, who do you want his last match to be with? Who do you see sending him off into the wrestling sunset? Obvious Hall of Fame, first ballot, as if they even needed a first ballot for John Cena. One of the greatest to ever do it. Wasn't a big fan of mine, but I was still a fan of his. He was fine. He just didn't want outsiders coming in, and I totally get that. I don't like outsiders coming into some of my shit either. So I get being protective over that stuff. He's just watchdogging. So you guys don't get mad at him. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you had fun listening to the stories. And shout out to John Cena. Thank you for everything you contributed to the business, the blood, the sweat, the tears on the actual canvas that's the center of that damn ring. You deserve all the glory and the praise that you're going to get. And people will not be booing you, sir. They will be cheering you in every single arena you go to. So enjoy it. And we'll see all of you next week on Wrestling with Freddie, and each Thursday on Unsanctioned Thursdays. Don't forget to give us those reviews, whether it's 5 stars or not. I'm not afraid of a 3-star review. So you think I'm afraid of a 2? No. You think I'm afraid of a 1? Just be funny. If there's something funny in there when you talk trash, I'll read it. Enjoy. Peace.
This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura podcast network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.